I was planning on doing this in my other channel, um, but then I thought, hmm, I'll do it this way somehow. So I felt called. I was doing my cold shower earlier, and I felt called to something that would, well, I hope, or just letting it be as it is, would help people, I guess you can say, calm down at least. Not that people are not calm, um, but I've noticed a lot of that strong energy, high energy, even in myself. And usually I can tell when there's sort of a cracking sound inside you. So, for those who are new to this channel, um, I guess I could introduce myself. um, my name is Jose, probably seen from my channel. Um, and typically I do astrology stuff, but I often don't do them actually because they can be quite draining in a way that is tied to, you know, going into detail. Because we really can't read people's minds, so to speak, right? Energetically, probably. And so what happens is there's that adult expectation still. And when it's something like this, or whether, how do I put this? I'm constantly reminded of when I go into places that I don't want to go into anymore. Because I used to do that a lot. I used to be more stressed back then. And it led to many things like having Meniere's disease, hypertension, gout. It's all connected, at least in my experience. And so there are just times where I do get a little bit, I wouldn't say high energy kind of thing, but I it it feels like that. It just yeah, it just gets to that point where it just, the body doesn't look for it anymore. Or rather the body just doesn't resonate with it anymore. So like I can still do astrology and I still enjoy it. Um I think it depends on if I've had enough reserves. So Like right now, so you may or may not this, but I've been working on for the past 2 years, um, really long cheat sheet. It's no longer a cheat sheet. What started as a cheat sheet for asteroids became a whole lot more. But I started realizing that in the intensity that I put in the beginning, even up to like about last year, there were just some because when I when when I focus on something that I want to do, or rather, there's a sort of desire to want to complete something. Then I get quite obsessive about it. But there have been moment up, repeated moments where I just am in this state, and you're catching me at this time where I'm in this state. Not usually at this around this. Well, it can be. Um, Plus it's the evening for me. So yeah, so it's basically what I started coining as microastrology. Um, I think recently there have been just times where I just don't feel like talking. um, Probably better during the day if I were to do some kind of video that's more about information. But when I've calmed down and I'm basically in that state of I just want to do, or rather just be, I don't really talk a lot because I'm in a home environment, right? So I'm at home. So that often means I'm I'm in a different state. Um, I guess it all comes down to how we fluctuate as beings, right? As human beings. And life fluctuates. Sometimes you go up, sometimes you're down, you're left, you're right. Um, I was just watching this show. I'm still watching it. Actually, it's called Christopher Robin's beautiful movie. You know, it's you can say that there's been some stuff about it that's it's Taoist in nature, which to me feels like it ties in with my childlikeness in being present. I was reading that there's this part of the culture, like in Japan, where couples um, don't talk to each other when they're at the dinner table or when they're just with each other. It's not that they're not talking, it's just they're completely satisfied with being with each other. This past Christmas, it felt like that, almost like I felt like that. Just nothing else just to say about it. And it was just wonderful. Like I was just able to be myself, and I noticed that I felt very, very present. It was the first time it's ever happened with my family. Not not that chaos, sort of nervous system racking energy. And I feel it's not really me. I felt it is me, but at the same time, it wasn't me that felt called to do something like this. And I used there were certain videos where I made videos like this where I didn't feel, or at least there was no pressure, even in astrology, to read something. But I thought I'd do it live. And I remember being I'm still a teacher. Could be someone or myself. It can't be me. Learning to express themselves. Sorry. Usually, when you're coughing randomly, sometimes it's a sign that someone is not expressing themselves. Um, so I've done videos before like this. What I would read in astrology, and it didn't feel pressured. It makes me wonder why I have other accounts. Because when you have long videos like this or lives, um, and there are people who are not used to that, especially now, which, people, there are certain people in the world who have, it's hard to be present. And maybe it's not the journey that you're supposed to be in. For the very active mind, which I'm not excluding myself from that. Being in a state like this feels, it's almost like it's cannot be grasped. It's hard to grasp because the mind is way too active and there's attachment to that. And it's okay to have an attachment per se, meaning identity has a reason, but I feel really good right now. Meaning it does feel good, but at the same time, it's like the worries have all gone away. And it's just, it's bliss. I used to listen to more music way back then, and I would even go into like the solfeggio stuff. I still do that. But then recently, being more, I don't go out in nature to be honest that often. There's a park here, so um, do what I can. Um, so what I do is when I'm out there, I try to be as present as I guess I can. But it also helps when I'm in meditative states or when I'm doing like yoga, especially in the shavasana position, like what do you call that? The corpse pose. Basically, you're lying down, but with intention, and your attention is in that moment. Um, there might be moments where it's like, I'm just gonna sleep. um, it feels meditative. I remember this one video I made, or I was just mostly sitting there. Um, Again, for the mind that becomes too active and it has taken over, it could be quite challenging. I find that for me, because of all the stress I've gone through, and I feel like it's tied to not only inner child trauma, because I don't remember most of my childhood. There must be a reason for that. Um, I've seen some of it though, um, but I've also seen past lives. There was this one where I was doing a galactic astrology reading for myself. Looked into a fixed star because I was watching a certain named Cosmic Empress here on YouTube, and she was talking about planet Hadar, which I think is Toleman in the fixed star, the name fixed star. I forgot which the official astronomical name that was. But apparently, people from there had past lives that were um, so traumatic that they carried through this lifetime. And then I saw it. I was like, oh, I have Hadar conjunct my, I think it's Uranus, which is tied to Mercury as well. Lilith is also tied there, the asteroid Lilith. And then that placement is square my south node and north node, which also is opposite. So there's this grand fixed square to my Chiron. And the Chiron is at the 10th. So all the, what do you call them? Like, not cardinal houses, but yes, ang, what is it called? Angular houses. There's another name for it, I think. So the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th. It's a big one in my life. So something to do with myself and being able to express that to others, my core beliefs and reputation. So public sphere, ego is also tied to that. I just feel really at bliss right now. So, with the experiences I've had, not only past lives, or rather past parallel lives, um, or I see it as a kind of reminder of what I experienced in this life, that the actual soul itself decided to incarnate into this form in order to really experience what it's come here to learn. And I feel for me, it is that balance and full integration of wounding. And so when something is wounded, right, you have to heal it, or rather, it looks for healing. So basically, a lot of the stuff have here is to heal through my family line, my ancestral line, um, reputation. So in other words, dealing with people and really getting to know my true self. And it's a process. Keeps happening and keeps happening. I tend to be more on the physical side, I noticed. Like when I do mediumship readings or psychic, um, it is intuition, but it's really tied more to my instincts. So what helped all this stuff is when I started doing Wim Hof method back in 2020, April 7th. It's my anniversary date. I didn't know that I was developing psychic abilities, or rather, it was like a awareness of it. Because I always knew that I had imagination. You'd see all these pictures and all that stuff from as far as I could remember, but I've only been aware of them in 2020. Because typically when you have Sun Pluto conjunction in your chart, that often signifies or it indicates ego death, but it depends on the choices the individual, or what in astrology called the native, what the native chooses to do with that. Um, I felt strongly called to it. I typed in, who's that guy who is dubbed the Iceman or walks on ice? And I came across it. And that's when it started. Apparently, yeah, it does enhance or reintroduce or help you remember because it helps you surrender to the cold. Well, it's more to it than that. There's the breathing and all that stuff. And I felt, yeah, it did trigger a lot of things and just surrendered to that. And that has helped me immensely. So I think that's just about it. Um, Perhaps it may not be recognizable at first, but when you're in this state, when you come across someone who is fully present with you, because when you can be fully present with yourself and you're alone in your thoughts and you're not doing anything, it just you're just allowing them to be. It's a gift. It's a wonderful gift. Um, if there's anything I do completely every day, it's that method I told you about. Not because it's a method, but because it really has helped me to be really present. And I love the fact that I'm in a cold country too. That helps. um, it's like I'm sleeping, but I'm awake. It actually helps when if you're not surrounded by nature, birds singing, stream, water flowing, fresh air. There are videos on YouTube that show that. Hmm. I'm getting images right away. But I'm being told it's not necessary to talk about that right now. Or another time. And I'm gotta go soon. Okay. Yeah, I'm feeling it. Okay. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna end it here. All I can say is childlikeness. You like that toddler that laughs and giggles, poops, even cries, is never holding a grudge. It's always present. It's what we call innocent. That's the name we call it. That's why we love babies, because it reminds us of our true essence. We see it in dogs, animals that are in a joyful state, trees, everything that's just natural. And at the same time, we live in this world. So it's okay to experience what you're experiencing. It's just be where you are with no reason at all for anything. Just, was it who said that quote? If you have no reason to be happy, or is there, I don't know if it's a quote. If you have no reason to be happy, that's joy. So thank you for joining me, whoever it is, however it is. I'll see you guys later. Bye.